Live in HD with coverage that's straight to the point. You're watching KWQC News at noon.
Local landowners are picking up the pieces today after a rampant fire destroyed several buildings on an Eldridge farm. We'll have the latest.
We did it again.
And Rick Santorum, they're the big winner in the South. We'll have more on that this noon hour. Good afternoon. I'm Morgan Otier. Marcia has the day off. Now, if you're headed out for lunch right now, you may not want to go back to work. We're experiencing the type of warm weather in March that we typically see much later in the year. Teresa, what are we seeing outside right now, and are these temperatures breaking some kind of record?
Well, not quite at record category yet, but we are certainly seeing.
Now to a developing story we brought you is breaking news last night at 10. Unbelievable video here of a massive fire that broke out in Eldridge last night. You can see several structures on fire, multiple crews on the scene for hours. It happened on a large farm at 2024 Sloperton Road in Eldridge. We've been following the story all day as hotspots continue to ignite. Right now, KWQC's Jeremiah McDaniel is live at the scene. Jeremiah, give us an update. How are those hotspots doing at this point?
Well, you know, the hotspots keep flaring up.
Well, a surprise win. Before Alabama and Mississippi voted, not a single major poll had Rick Santorum in the lead. But last night he won both states. Peter Alexander has the story. With less than a week to go, it's getting heated between the Democratic candidates in Illinois District 36. Mike Bolin is claiming incumbent Senator Mike Jacobs is reckless, citing an incident in which Jacobs allegedly punched another senator on the Senate floor. Jacobs says Bolin is unethical and probably broke the law when his campaign allegedly sent an email to Blackhawk College employees asking for donations. Both candidates are trading shots.
One of the biggest lies that this clown, and I have to call him.
President Obama entertained British Prime Minister David Cameron by attending an NCAA tournament basketball game last night, but this morning, the White House rolled out the red carpet. The President and Mrs. Obama welcomed Cameron and his wife to Washington. It's the Cameron's second day in the U.S. The two leaders are expected to discuss the upcoming NATO and G8 summits, Afghanistan, the Middle East, Iran, and the global economy. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich will address the public later today, one last time before he goes to prison. Blagojevich will give his final farewell statement outside of his Chicago home this evening. He'll be speaking just after 5, so you can see it live right here on KWQC. Blagojevich will report to a prison outside of Denver tomorrow. He'll be serving a 14-year prison sentence for corruption. And a strong earthquake rattled northeast Japan this morning. The USGS said the 6.9 magnitude earthquake was centered about 456 miles northeast of Tokyo. There were no immediate reports of damage, although the quake caused weather cameras in Japan's capital to shake. Japan's meteorological agency issued a tsunami advisory but canceled it a short time later. The USGS recorded 4 other earthquakes in or near the area with magnitudes between 6.1 and 5.7. On Sunday, Japan marked the first anniversary of a 9.0 magnitude earthquake off the country's northeast coast that created a massive tsunami. That disaster killed or left missing nearly 20,000 people and led to the world's worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. iPad sales are surging, and why buying a home is much cheaper these days than it is to rent. We have all that and more in your Bloomberg report. That's next. And the federal government gives them a test and they failed. Why several banks aren't making the grade. Also next on your news at noon. Some new numbers point to what's likely to be another blockbuster year for Apple, and get ready for a hike in some liquor prices. For that, let's get to Bloomberg's Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange.
Demand for the new iPad is going to be off. The Bloomberg Market Update.
Jane, thank you. Now, Citigroup and SunTrust are among 4 banks that failed the Federal Reserve's latest bank stress test. The tests are designed to assess the ability of banks to withstand a significant financial shock or economic downturn. MetLife and privately held Ally also failed. The Federal Reserve said 15 other banks had sufficient capital to cover losses under extreme circumstances. Passengers around the country are left stranded after Direct Air announced it's suspending flights for at least 2 months. The discount airline shut down operations on Monday after it apparently failed to pay a fuel bill and was then cut off by a supplier. Passengers were told to contact their credit card companies for refunds. Direct Air began flying in March 2007 and services 17 cities. And taking a look at the ever-increasing cost of gas. Nationally, the average cost for a gallon of gas is about $3.81 right now, unchanged from yesterday. And taking a look at what we're seeing locally, up a penny from what we saw at noon yesterday. It's about $3.72 for a gallon of regular unleaded in the Iowa Quad Cities. In Illinois, a gallon of regular is holding steady at a whopping $3.93. Those numbers from the AAA Fuel Gauge report. Well, a beautiful day today. Higher temps than we've seen for a while at this time of year, Teresa.
Yes, indeed. We are going to continue to see that warming.
Well, I know I'm supposed to be at the anchor desk right now, but I just had to take a peek at this weather outside. Beautiful. It's in the 70s right now. I know a lot of people are wishing they could spend the day outside instead of indoors at work, but a reminder for people that are working outside today, it's a good day for some water. I hear we're headed toward the 80-degree mark. Now, there is a little bit of a breeze out here. We also know that there's a couple of golf courses open today for people that are looking for something to do. Now, I have a little bit of a funny prop here because, as you can see today, I'm actually not wearing a coat, not wearing a jacket. I actually didn't even have to do it this morning at all. This is the coat that I would be typically wearing right now if I were reporting in March. It should be a lot cooler than it is right now outside, so we can definitely thank Mother Nature for that.
You're watching First Alert Weather.
Teresa, thank you. Well, still ahead on your news at noon. Baseball season is almost upon us, and for one Quad City man, that can't come soon enough. He's not only a fan, he's a collector. Fran Riley introduces us to the man with the love of the game. Next. For decades, baseball has been a way of life for Rod Hill of Bettendorf, dating back to the days of Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. But as Fran Riley reports, it's the Duke of Flatbush who holds a special place in Rod's Hall of Fame.
Kind of my own little sanctuary down here.
Email it to news@kwqc.com. And who knew that we had a Hall of Famer right here in the Quad Cities?
That's really great to see, you know, and very enthusiastic about his collection. Really neat, too.
Really exciting, and you gotta love the music at the end of that story.
Yeah,
Fran,
absolutely.
It's got the best stories. Okay, so I'm gonna take a mental picture right now.
Yeah, really
of these
excited about
temperatures.
this.
Yeah, very exciting. Now tell everybody what's going on here. I see a lot of sevens.
Yes, you see a lot of 70-degree temperatures across the board, 77 already in Galesburg.
Welcome back. This afternoon, GOP presidential candidate Rick Santorum is celebrating success in the South. He won the primaries in Alabama and Mississippi. Before yesterday's primaries, it was predicted it would be a close race between Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich. Now here's a breakdown of the numbers. In Alabama, Santorum gets the win with 35% of the vote. Gingrich and Romney are tied percentage-wise at 29% each, but according to the number of votes, Gingrich comes in second. In Mississippi, Santorum wins by a smaller percentage. He grabs 33% of the vote. Gingrich sits closely behind with 31%, and then there's Romney with 30%. And in Hawaii's caucus, Romney walks away with the win with 45% of the vote.
This campaign,
the shining city on a hill. I will do it with your help. Thank you so much. Great to be with you. Thanks, you guys.
In two of last night's three primary states, Alabama and Hawaii, voters are asked to show photo IDs at the polls. The third, Mississippi, is awaiting legal clearance for one of the strictest laws in the nation. Nationwide, the push for voter ID laws has touched off a political firestorm. NBC's Pete Williams reports.
14.
The 2000.
Voters in Iowa and Illinois do not have to show a photo ID, though it is being talked about. It's a problem that's been getting worse for several decades. Water rising up in areas around the Mill Creek South Slough in Rock Island County. Upkeep there hasn't been done since the 80s, but a solution may be getting closer. Now, the slough runs near Interstate 280 in Milan to roughly the Mississippi River. Now, there are dozens of properties near it that have dealt with growing marshes and pooling water for years. Now, one of them, Rock Island's wastewater treatment plant. There's water surrounding it, and it shouldn't be there. KWQC's Bailey Dietz has more on the problem and what's finally being done. Well, being right on the Mississippi, this is a story we can relate to. With miles of beautiful waterways, South Florida is a boater's paradise. And to make sure it stays that way, they're trying to keep sewage from those boats out of the water. John Shainman has more on a free program that does just that.
This story.
All right, thanks for joining us on your News at Noon. Be sure to meet us right back here at 4, 5, 6, and 10. Have a great day.